I'm Jessica.
Hi, I'm Christeena.
And you're watching Game of Tones.
Today, we are going to do a spoilery discussion of Unwind by Neal Shusterman. So if you haven't read this yet, go check out our review where we don't spoil anything for you.
We'll have a link below.
Yes. So, let's jump into it. If you didn't watch our review, gave it 4 stars. We both did. Really
we
enjoyed
did.
it.
Yes, we did. We thought the writing style was a little simplistic and it felt kind of middle grade, and
It really did, yeah.
It didn't really match the
Subject
matter.
Topic, yeah. You know, actually, I feel like maybe that's a reason why I didn't fully connect with the characters. Is because the simplistic
writing style.
style
Yeah,
of it,
I feel like we didn't really get into the heads of the characters. I felt like Risa's point of view could have been dissolved. Like, it wasn't far from Connor and what he was going through. Although I did like our first chapter with her when we see her play piano and then she goes to the board. But she felt like she was just there as a plot device for Connor.
I liked her, but
I was gonna say, I like what happened to her at the end. But, like, that's rude. That storyline was interesting, but, like, the middle section just...
Well, and I feel like once they kind of once they made it to the graveyard,
yeah,
her point of perspective was, like, non-existent pretty much. Mm-hmm. And so I was kind of, like, missing that. You know what I mean?
One character that I really liked was Sci-Fi. That whole thing where the kid was in his brain. You know what I mean?
That was crazy. And see, that's one thing that I really got hooked into reading that part was because if we're talking about unwinding somebody and giving them, like, especially parts of your brain, splitting it up like that, like, does make you wonder if something's gonna, like, linger or, you know, and I really loved that part.
I did too, yeah. And I liked how he was his own person. He was just had those street smarts, but he was also, like, really nice and had, like, integrity.
Yeah.
And he taught Lev a few things. I didn't start really liking Lev.
I was gonna say that too.
Until he stole the money from that pawn shop.
Yeah, that was... Okay, I was totally thinking that he was just gonna, like, take the money and go. Yeah. But then when it turned out that, like, he took all this stuff and left the bracelet, I was like... That's kind of nice.
Yeah.
You know?
That's nice.
And I couldn't stand him. But I don't think anybody really could at the beginning. When he was, like, you know, all uppity about it, I was just, like, really... Also, I was kind of surprised at his priest that, you know, was it a priest or preacher? Priest, right?
I don't know. I don't remember.
But
Pastor. Pastor Dan. So
I was kind of surprised that he was... like, go, you know, like, run.
Yeah.
And then when he called him and it just, like, destroyed his whole...
Yeah.
I mean, like, he grew up knowing that he was gonna be unwound, you know, and it was for the greater good kind of thing, and it pretty much just, like, destroyed his whole life in one conversation, and so he had to kind of, like, get a new bearing on stuff, and that's when I started liking him better.
Yeah, me too. Can we just talk about the scene?
Yo, that was a lot more intense than I thought it was gonna be.
Me too. And that's when I think the simplistic writing style helped the story, is that scene. I went from, like, hating...
Oh, yeah.
What was his name? Roland. I went from hating Roland.
Yeah.
To feeling really sorry for him.
So bad. First of all, I can imagine a world that would...
do that to people.
But especially to be, oh my gosh, to be awake the entire time.
No.
When he said that he looked down and it was just his torso, like...
It freaked me the heck out.
It was so... And she just kept talking to him and then he couldn't hear her anymore. And she's like, oh, you're gonna feel a slight tug. Oh, you're gonna feel a slight tug.
Yeah.
You won't be able to blink anymore.
And he's like, I want you all to go to hell. And she's like, that's natural.
I can't imagine somebody actually doing that job.
That was the creepiest thing I've ever read.
It's giving me chills talking about it. But yeah, that was...
And then what made me so mad is, like, when she left him and he's just, like, his jaw is gone and he's only this part of his body is left, his brain. and she leaves him.
I know what you're gonna say.
And they start talking about basketball.
Yeah.
And I wanted to throw up in their faces.
Yeah.
It was I was so mad.
Yeah.
And then as they start taking section, like his eyes, and then they took his ears, and then they start taking his brain.
And he was like,
yeah.
He's
like,
still
I'm still
trying to,
here.
like, yeah.
And then it's like part of the brain. He like lists a part of the brain.
Yeah.
I'm still, and then another part. I, and then it's nothing. And he's getting like flashbacks from when he was a kid, and
that was heartbreaking.
I started crying.
Yeah, that's the part where I was like, I can't do this. But I mean, it was just really intense though.
I had to stop and look out the window.
Yeah, it was. As much as you hate Roland, I don't think anybody can say that they've read this and didn't feel bad.
Yeah.
At any part of what went down. Like,
yeah. I mean, if anyone deserved to be around.
Yeah, that's true. But I didn't think it would go down like
that. But nobody deserves that.
Yeah. And I think it's pretty effed up that they make them, like, the band play music as they watch, like, their friends and stuff, like, all these kids go in, like...
Yeah. Yeah.
I was also really surprised that Lev went to the extreme.
And he was a
clapper. Okay, and at first, like, when they left the school and he was like, start clapping, I was like, what? So everybody's gonna break out into applause to distract so you can get away? Like, I was really confused until
it was weird.
Until it reiterated on that of, like, being... Which I also thought that was a really unique idea of, like, explosives in your blood and then, you know, stuff like that. And, I'm actually surprised that there is a cure for that. And he had to be just, like, suspended in this room, you know, covered in foam and stuff or whatever. Like, that was,
the kid who didn't clap.
It was kind of comical to me a little bit, like, picturing him suspended in this room, like, not being able to do anything. And he's just, like, patted and patted and patted.
In, like, 40-degree room.
Yeah, yeah, it does. I guess it's not that comical. But I'm really surprised I ended up liking this so much.
Me too. I was so surprised.
Yeah, I was.
After, like, the first 100 pages, I was like, oh, this is not going to be so good.
Yeah, I was like, I don't hate it. I don't love it. You know, it's okay. And then, like...
I ended up feeling
things started really going down.
What did you think about that scene where, first of all, I was surprised that Humphrey Dunphy was the commander's son? And I straight up thought...
I did too.
That they took Embry to be...
Taken apart.
To take his lungs.
I did too. And that was another part that actually had me... Okay, no, I did tear up twice. That part had me more... Like, the Unwound part was really...
Which part specifically had you...
Where they all were together.
Yes.
And they were all like, you remember this? And like, oh yeah. And that part, like, having a son, like, that part really did get to me.
I was shocked. It just shocked me so much that I just, like, tears came out of both of my eyes as I was reading that. The part that surprised me is when the guy was like, Dad?
Yeah.
And I was like, ah!
Yeah. Yeah. Like, to hear your son's voice, you know? Yeah. I'm gonna cry. We gotta stop talking about it. Because, like, yeah. It's just... That part was really emotional.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And legit, for a little bit there, back of the graveyard, I did think that the captain was evil.
Yeah.
For a little bit.
I did too.
Was he called the captain?
Admiral.
I really did think...
I thought he was good, and then I thought he was bad.
I did too.
And then I thought he was good.
Yeah.
I actually really like this book. When I talk about the ending, it's like, man, this was a really good book.
Yeah. We
Mm-hmm.
didn't really talk about Reese at all.
Risa?
What is her name?
Rissa?
Rissa. I always said Risa. I don't know exactly how to...
They said her
like
name derived from a
Risa.
Spanish word, and if that's the case, then it's pronounced with an E. Risa.
Risa.
Because the Spanish people say I with an E.
Oh, okay.
What did you think of her becoming paralyzed at the end? Oh my gosh! Connor's shark tattoo!
Oh, I know.
That creeped me the hell out.
Well, and see, like, when he was laying in the hospital before they said anything, I was like, no, dude.
Did you think it was him?
Yeah. Well, not until, like, right before he was like, and I was... I didn't know that it was gonna be him, but I was like, dude, like, if that's a part of him, like, that's gonna be so effed up. And it said the shark tattoo, and I was like, that's so effed up. And he was like, I'll never touch you with this hand. It's like,
that was kind of
that was kind of,
that was
yeah.
dumb.
How did she get paralyzed again? Oh yeah, from falling.
The building fell
yeah,
on her.
That's right. I didn't.
I was like, I was happy that she didn't want to
yeah,
use the bodies of people, and I feel
but like the spinal cord of somebody or something like that.
Yeah, and they can still be happy, you know. With, I mean, it sucks, but she can't be unwound now if she's disabled.
True. And see, I was actually kind of surprised that she ended up being paralyzed, because it being, like you said, the simplistic writing style of it did make me think kind of like middle grade level.
Mm-hmm.
And so for some reason in my mind I kept thinking like happy ever after ending kind of thing, you know. So I was a little surprised that like, you know.
Yeah, she ended up being a paraplegic.
But but you know, I'm really glad that she didn't, you know, get body parts from someone else.
Yeah.
Which I don't think Connor would have either if he had a choice. I don't know, it was just really good book.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad with my 4-star rating, but the more we talk about it, the more I'm actually like, wow, yeah, I did really enjoy this.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think I'm gonna stay at 4 stars because there were things that I was just like, you know, it did take me a while to get into and whatever, and I wasn't like super into the characters' heads.
I really wish we had, you know, a little more connection with that. And it's kind of like we had a little taste, like with Connor and the explanation of the baby thing. I was kind of like, I get it, but at the same time, like, would that really put you in a position to like steal a baby?
Yeah.
When your life is on the line, kind of thing. And I feel like if we would have just like went more in depth with Connor himself, then maybe, you know.
Yeah. Anyway, it was good. We recommend it.
We have decided that, I don't know if we said this or not, but
No,
we're not going to continue with the series.
Yeah.
It just wrapped up very nicely for us, and I'm with you. I don't really have any intention of continuing it. I would assume maybe it's going on and following them, like trying to fight the law.
Well, I just looked at the first chapter of the next book, and it wasn't any character that I recognized.
So maybe it follows different.
Maybe. I don't know.
Let us know what you thought of it.
Yeah.
Below.
And if you have any, want to expound on any ideas that we have presented to you in this video, when you play the game of Tomes,
you read or you die.
Come be our friends. Social media links in the description below.
And we hope you're reading a great book.
Bye.
Bye.